So today we are talking about tips for beginners who are just starting yoga, who are just starting, even who are just starting jiu-jitsu. That's a big question I get a lot from people. And I would have to say, I'll give you some really great stretches, but also some really great tips. And as usual, I will interrupt myself to chat with you guys from Chile. Mauricio, awesome. What time is it in Chile? In BC here, it's in Canada, it's 9 a.m. So I'm wondering if you're in the future or if you're in the past. Because if you're in the past, I'll let you know that from the future, it's pretty good if your time zone's behind me. My sister in Australia is almost a day ahead, it's crazy. Okay, tips for beginners. I would have to say that the first one is to not go so intensely, to not be so intense in the stretches. Hey, Moon Ivy, how are you? She's on Facebook. What's a good stretch for the groin area? Okay, here we go. So I'm going to interrupt my little thing here. Good stretch for the groin. I have a few. Let's start sitting down. Post the hands behind you, feet on the ground. Really gentle stretch. Windshield wipe the feet left and right. Start with that, bringing mobility, some movement into the groin area, some blood flow. So this is really nice because if your groin area is tight, probably the inside and the outside of the hips are tight. This stretches both of those. You can lower the knees to one side so the legs are in a 90 degree angle. Sit here. So this is kind of nice for all of the hips. Next one. Grab your jiu-jitsu belt. If you're a no-gi ninja, you can grab a towel or something like that. Loop it around the ball of your foot. And so the belt is around my right leg. Put the belt in the right hand. Lower the belt to the right side. So that's more intense, the groin area. So start with the windshield wipers, a little bit of movement. And you don't have to go all the way down. You can go down just enough where it's lower your elbow to the ground. This is good to start with. So you don't have to go all the way down. And if you pulled your groin, yeah, it probably means that there's more stuff that's tight going on there. So jump in the description. If you're on Instagram, it's in our bio. If you're on Facebook or YouTube or any of those other platforms, jump in the description, the link, and there is 10 free videos for you, and one of them is hips, and this is the flagship program of Yoga for Jiu-Jitsu. I actually can't believe Sebastian's given away for free for a while, but there's an amazing one on hips, 10 minutes. Just do that one, because then you won't have to worry about pulling your groin all the time. It's so common, but since I started this Yoga for BJJ journey and joined the dark side, I've never pulled my groin. Sometimes I pull it so bad I couldn't get into my car, and I've never pulled it. So just do that 10 minutes a day and you'll get more benefits than not pulling your groin. More flexible, feeling better, all that jazz. Okay. Yeah, the hips and tight are tight hips and groin. So definitely do those stretches I said. Jump into the link, grab our free videos, and even for hips and groin, try this all-time favorite, lizard stretch. On all fours, hands and knees. Step the right foot to the outside of the right hand, and the back knee can be down or up. This creates a stretch through the back hip and the inside of the front hip. So while you're doing these stretches, you know what, Frankie, you're welcome, and let me know how it goes. Try it out. Let me know how it goes. Jump on my live again next time and let me know. Sometimes people tell me it went really well. Sometimes people let me know they need different stretches or more stretches. So because they've advanced, they've outgrown the ones that I did. I had someone just ask, discomfort in the elbow. So give me more information. Is it because you're posting a lot, or is it because you are escaping a lot of arm bars? Because I have the same thing. I post a lot to prevent the sweeps. That's why the handstands are fun to work on, right? Get that balance. But also, yeah, when I'm training with other black belts, they'll get the arm bars, and I'll be working on defending, so it's a lot of stress on the elbow. I recommend actually jumping. So I need more information. Let me know, like, why do you think it's sore? But right off the bat, you can jump into our rehab program. And there's elbows for hyperextend. There's rehab programs for hyperextension. There's not elbows for hyperextension. That's what we got going on. Okay, some tips for beginners. I would have to say tip number one is don't stretch so intensely. When I first see people starting to stretch, like when I'll run my classes, a first class in a Jiu Jitsu gym, and I'll be running a class and they'll be like in their stretch and trying to go so intensely. They'll be in the stretch, they'll be like, but so intensely, and I'm just like, that's the backwards thing about yoga, is the more intense you go, the more intense you are. So you just need to relax, need to chill, need to enjoy the stretch, and need to always be at 70%, so a little bit less. So I'd say that is definitely my first tip for beginners. Okay, interrupt myself, here we go. So, okay, elbow. Posting and pulling, it's more like biceps and triceps around the elbow area. Okay, so I would say yeah, jump into the rehab program and see if anything in there helps you. Yeah, do that. Okay. Yeah, try that out. And then back pain. Oh my goodness, I know, eh? Back pain. Okay. So if you've got back pain, you are gonna love this one. Start on your back. There's so many ones for back pain, but right off the bat, lie down on your back. Just feet on the ground, knees bent, and this is really nice position for the lower back. So start there, and then also with the back pain, I have 2 stretches I want you to try. Post the feet on the ground, lift the hips, shift the hips to the left, so you're off center. The hips are off center to the left, lower the knees to the right. Then you have one free hand, the left hand, lower behind you. So this is a really nice, it feels really nice through the spine. It's a really nice spinal twist. You get the bonus of the shoulder opener, but also this is really nice to the lower back, because it releases stress through that whole spine, helps it twist and move. The next one, so do that on both sides for your lower back. And the next one is, if the lower back is sore, is a lot of things that can be elements to that. But one of the most common ones I found is maybe the outer hips might be tight. So just like you're at the beach, one foot on the ground, opposite ankle on that quad, then lower. This is my left foot. Lower the left foot to the ground. And if you're kind of shimmying everywhere, you can grab the shin. So this is similar. We still have a bit of a spinal twist, but this also stretches the outer hip. Doesn't matter if the foot's all the way to the ground. Really nice stretch for that outer hip. Try that on the ground. The next one, if your back is sore, is there's muscles. You don't think of it, but there's muscles in the lower back which are on either side. So those are the QLs. To stretch them, reach the right or whatever your favorite arm up. For me, it's my right arm right now. And shift to the side. And you can turn the chest up, turn the chest down. So you can feel that and stretch the sides. Try those ones for the back. And there's also, if you jump on our Instagram or Facebook, we've got posts on lower back pain. YouTube channel posts on lower back pain. I have some lives on lower back pain. And also, if you go into, actually, I just made a video on lower back pain too. If you jump onto the yogaforbjj.net, it's a whole sequence. So try these stretches, see if it helps. And if you find it's enough, great. Or if you're like, oh, I want a little bit more, we have lots of resources for that. And don't worry, you're not alone. There's so many people that have that lower back pain. Okay. So that was my first tip for our beginners, to go to 70% when you're stretching. 70%, 80%. Don't push it. Us as jiu-jitsu people tend to be really intense, and we always want to push it, do everything 100%, do everything the best we can. But with the yoga, just chill. Just chill, because if you go too intensely, the muscles tense up, right? We don't want that. Okay, and then the next tip, so that's tip number one, just chill, go to 80%. The next tip is don't worry so incredibly much about doing the stretch right or wrong. Like the body is incredibly resilient. And I'm going through an absolutely amazing course right now talking about alignment and injuries and yoga. And we're talking about how there's so many different, every single student that does a yoga pose, it will be different for every single one because the body is so incredibly different. So if you feel a stretch, you're in the pose. And so obviously there's alignment stuff that really helps, but in the bio, there's like 10 basic stretch classes for you guys to do. And they're still my favorite, absolutely amazing. You don't have to worry so much about doing the pose right or doing the pose wrong. Like if I move into on all fours, cat-cow, for lizard stretch, step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. When I'll be teaching my beginners classes, they'll be like, oh, should the hands be here? Should the foot be out more? Should the foot be forward more? Should the back knee be up? Should the back knee be down? And the answer is try all of it. Try all of it. If you feel the stretch, you're in the pose. And the next one is to just honestly, to just like have fun with it. Have fun with it. Enjoy the stretching. Don't worry about if the person in the video, Sebastian and Steen, are really flexible, have that back knee up and they're doing everything like crazy flexible and you're like, oh, I can't reach. Don't worry about that. That's their experience and time in yoga. And keep sending me questions, guys. Lots of questions. I got answers. That's their time in yoga, right? Like they're black belts in yoga. That's hours and hours of practice. That's body bias. So don't worry about trying to do what the person in the video is doing. You'll grow into it over time. So just relax and have fun with it. Life is stressful and busy and crazy enough as it is. The yoga and stretching is just time just to sit and chill. And it's really nice. So my big 3 steps for my beginners are the big 3 ones. What was the first one again? Is to only go to 70% in your stretches. 70-80%, and let the yoga do its work. And the next one is don't worry so incredibly much about doing every pose perfect and perfect alignment, perfect this and perfect that, because the body's incredibly resilient. Every single body is different. And if you feel the stretch, you're in the pose. And the very last one is just to enjoy it and have fun with it and to let go of the results. That was one of the biggest things. Just do the process, let go of the results. And a great example is like, I get on the mat and I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling more flexible today. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do this pose, to do this better, and to be more flexible and to let go of those results. Just get on the yoga mat every day, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a flow session, a slow session. Look at my rhyming. To get on it every day. It's as simple as that. Because I find especially with yoga, where it's like you get really attached to the results, it gets really hard. It's not that different from jiu-jitsu. You're in jiu-jitsu and I want to be able to win that tournament, but it takes a while. I want to be able to execute this armbar, but it takes a while. So you just get on the mats, you do the process, and the results will come. Especially yoga is even harder than jiu-jitsu in that sense, stretching, because you don't see the results. You feel it, you feel good, but you don't see the results right away, but it compounds. Right? It compounds, and all of a sudden 6 months goes by and you're like, oh my goodness, I couldn't do this 6 months ago. Because in stretching, you're not just stretching the muscles, you're also retraining the nervous system to let the body know that these positions are okay, that these stretches are okay, that these movements are okay. So you're really creating new movement patterns. And you think how powerful that is when we hit the jiu-jitsu mats. We've created new movement patterns, yoga mats, with the nervous system. That does take a long time. It does take time, but it's so worth it. And I notice a significant difference in people that do yoga on the jiu-jitsu mats. They're comfortable in positions that they really shouldn't be comfortable in. They can move ways they shouldn't be able to move. And they're just more comfortable in their body. So yoga, they have a really nice body awareness. So yoga does that. And stretching does that. And it's not like it's crazy. It's not like it's hard. It's just putting the time in. And everything you need is right here, you know. What is my favorite submission? Oh my goodness. Do you know what is crazy? It goes in seasons, right? Like I'll go through my belts with different submissions. I'd have to say, especially at black belt, I have my position before submission and I do a lot of work from the guard. I like taking the back from the guard. And I could probably say that without giving away all my secrets because there's not too many jiu-jitsu tournaments going on right now. I love taking the back, being super, super tight, taking the back from guard. And again, I'll take my time. I'll be in there for like 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes, working slowly, tightly, take the back. And to choke from the back, whatever you can get, right? But most of the time it'll be collar chokes. And then from mount, this is really savage. I love the Ezekiel from mount. Because from mount I'll do a lot of pressure over a lot of time and slowly wear them down. And then even setting the Ezekiel up, I won't even get the second fist all the way over the neck. You don't even need that. You can still choke someone with one artery. So I put my pressure down on the diaphragm, and every time they breathe in, they breathe out, I take a bit more air away with my pressure. They breathe in, they breathe out, take a little more air away until they are having actually a hard time breathing, and that is one of the worst things ever. Then I start working on the neck, and so they've gone, and then I'll bring my torso down, so they're having a bit more hard time breathing, and that's jiu-jitsu. That's just taking your time. So I do like the Ezekiel, and the Ezekiel's more than just the choke. It's looking at the whole picture of it, slowly wearing them down, putting pressure on their diaphragm. So I love that from mount. I love that one, yeah. And then from the guard, so really safe positions, really good positions, really slow. It's about wearing them down, and that has brought me, well, I have two Masters world titles and 7 Pan Am golds. So that's really, it works. I love the foundations. I'm not into I can get away with it, but I'm not into all the super fancy stuff. I can do it. I can get away with it. All these fancy guard passes and all these fancy movements. But I would say I love the foundations because they work. And to do the fundamentals so well, to take the back from the guard is something very, very foundational. You learn that in your first year of jiu-jitsu. And to work from mount, the Ezekiel is very foundational. But to do the advanced fundamentals, do the fundamentals so incredibly well that I know I'm doing it. My opponent knows I'm doing it, but I can still do it. And at black belt level, it's still working. So it's a good time investment. I'm from BC, and I train in Vernon, BC, actually. So under my black belt, Dave Rothwell. So you can Google him, you can look him up. He's on Instagram, and he's also a Masters world champion. And we just love the foundations because they're timeless, right? I find jiu-jitsu, there's fads, right? Stuff comes, stuff goes, people like this, people like that, come up for name of this, come up for name for that. But the foundations are just unreal. So yeah, I train under Dave Rothwell, and we'll have in our advanced training, he has it set up really nicely where there'll be a class going on one side of the mat, and then all the higher belts, if we want to just train and wrestle and work on our stuff, he'll wrestle with us on the side. So he'll have an advanced instructor in the class, but he'll wrestle with us on the side, and sometimes we'll have upwards of 8, 9 black belts, which is a big deal because Vernon is not a big town. So that's a really nice big treat. Okay, I have a question here. Nice talking to you, Frankie. Keep sending the questions in. Okay, so Patrick Carter, I'm a 54 years old, awesome blue belt. I'm dealing with my hips are locking up on me. Any help would be greatly appreciated. So maybe give me some more information with the hips locking up. Is there a position that they're locking up in? Are they really tight? Are they a little bit more information for me? I'm kind of wanting to, the hips tend to be complex. There's a lot going on there. But maybe what we can do, and good for you for training at 54, that's awesome. I want to be able to do that. That's why I'm doing this yoga stuff, the stretching stuff. I would say let's look at some stretches for you. They're just really tight. Okay, so try this. Sitting on your hips, just post your hands down behind you. Feet on the ground, about shoulder width apart, maybe just wherever's comfortable, maybe a bit further than not shoulder width, hips width. and bring the knees left and right. Try that. See how far, like, can you bring the knees all the way? It doesn't matter if you can bring it down to the side. We're just trying to figure out your range of motion. Like, see how down the knees can go. For some people, they can only bring the knees barely over, and that's okay. It's an opportunity, right, to do some stretching. So you can try these windshield wipers. It might feel good, it might not, you might like, you might not, but you just gotta try a couple things. So the windshield wipers are nice for movement, mobility, and it stretches the inside and outside of the hips. The next one, which is really nice for the hips, is if you can, I'll give you a couple so you can try them, okay? Put both feet down 90 degree angle in the back, 90 degree angle on the front, and this stretches the outside of the hip. Each hand on either side of the knee, and you can either keep the torso up or lower it down. This is a really nice stretch for the outer hips, okay? So outer hips, outer right hip, obviously do the other side. Then stretch the front of the hip, front of the hip. So go into a low lunge, back knees on the ground, front knees up. And I want you to actually engage your glutes. So engage your butt, tighten that up, and you might feel a stretch starting in the front of the hip. If you want more of a stretch through the front of the hip, you can also think of pulling the hip to rib. So with the pelvis actually taking it and tilting it forward. So if you're a puppy dog, like tucking the tail underneath. So instead of just having a neutral pelvis, pulling the hips to ribs. So that will add more of a stretch to the front of the hip. Then the next one, which will do even more, which is really nice. My left knee is down. Reach my left arm up. And you can even reach it over to the right side. So this is a really nice stretch to the front of the hip. Then the next thing is, you know what, really the back of the hip too, which is the hamstring. So stay in this low lunge, and that back knee, just walk it back, and you can straighten or almost straighten that front leg. So that's really nice for the hamstring. Because if people are like, oh, my hips are tight, we gotta look at the front, the back, the middle, inside out, upside down. So those are 3 stretches that are really nice. And Patrick, jump into the link. It's on Facebook there too, of the free 10 and 10. There's a hip class in there. Actually, day 1 is hips. It is absolutely amazing. So Sebastian, he's so hilarious, runs you through some really great stretching for the hips. And don't try to, like my tips in this video, right? Don't try to push it too much. Go to like 70%. And the next thing is you feel the stretch, you're in the pose. Don't worry about doing the pose perfectly. You'll grow into it. You'll grow into the yoga. And then, yeah, the next one is just to enjoy it. So try those out, those stretches out I gave you, or sign up for a free 10 classes. It's like Christmas. And try the hips one. Let me know how it goes, or do all 10, right? They're all amazing. Okay, so let me know how that goes, Patrick. And yeah, so my Instagram is, when I post this, I can tag me in it. It's Sarah Drott, and then I have my Yoga for Jiu Jitsu rash guard in the picture too, so people make that connection. Yeah, Patrick, try it out. And then I'm always here, and my coworker Adam is always here. So you can comment on the Facebook page. You can message us. You can do anything. It's me. It's Adam and I. We're just always we're running the show, which is really great. I love Adam. He's the best. Awesome. Okay. So make sure, yeah, you guys say hi to Seth Brazil. Who's that? Seth Brazil. I'm not jogging my memory here. I'm so into talking about all these stretches. I was such a one-track mind. I can't remember what I was talking about before that. All right, everybody. So that's what we have on tap for today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. This was a lot of fun as always. And yeah, we'll see you on the next live. Get your questions ready, or just to chat. I had questions about jiu-jitsu, questions about training, about all this stuff. So it's super fun just to chat. And I will see you next time.